Anaheim yesterday. This is a team that was formerly known as Supreme. And we have a player on here, Mox, who has had quite a bit of experience in the past couple of months trying to qualify for this Call of Duty World League. So this is a big moment for him.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is a big moment for a lot of these guys, of course. Kind of a last second to kind of put together a roster, of course, but this is definitely a very solid team, to say the least. And I think when it comes down to facing off against this FaZe lineup after already beating Evil Geniuses 3-0, I mean, if they beat FaZe, I mean, this is a fantastic spot that they're in for this group.
Yeah, and they have to be feeling pretty good right now. BitterSweet, for those of you guys that don't know, Mox was previously on the Gosu crew, who lost to Evil Geniuses for their qualifying spot at CWL Dallas for the Call of Duty World League Stage 1. He then beats the same team that had actually a player leave his roster for Evil Geniuses. So, you know, just there's revenge there that he got on so many different levels. He's got to be feeling great right now.
Definitely.
And if we take a look at map 1 landing, you might remember Scorch Hardpoint was actually the Gosu crew's best map.
Indeed it was, and of course, Scorch Hardpoint for map number 1, Crusher Search and Destroy for map 2, Frost Uplink for map number 3, and if it comes down to map number 4 and 5, Retaliation Hardpoint, and closing us out, Breakout, Search, and Destroy. Now, when it comes down to Scorch Hardpoint, of course, like you said, it's a map that Mox is obviously very experienced in as well.
Right.
This is also a map where I've seen FaZe have some good moments when it comes down to SMG play with ERADs, and we talked about the plays of Attach and Zuma in the past. I mean, you know, when it comes down to a map like Scorch, what should we be looking at?
For Scorch, we're going to see a lot of ERAD play, as you mentioned. This is a very defining moment for the ERAD right now in the metagame of Infinite Warfare. So look for players like Zuma to have to contribute a lot. And we did mention before, though, Zuma is having that problem of just coming off of that surgery. That could be something that's hurting his gameplay here. He's really going to need to keep up of the player on the ERAD players on the side of BitterSweet if they want any chances of winning this map.
Yeah, it's a definitely unfortunate thing to have kind of come into this tournament. I mean, to have to deal with outside things like that. But for obviously what he had versus Elevate, they seem to kind of keep things up pretty well. So we'll obviously see how FaZe can kind of progress.
A beautiful stomping from FaZe on the Elevate for sure.
Well, I just witnessed one between Odd Gaming and Fanatics. We both had some stomping gameplay. Hopefully this one's a little bit closer. We'll obviously be looking through the eyes of, I'm going to go on board with BitterSweet here off the start, and looking through the arsenal of this team to see exactly what they're going to be pulling out. From what I heard, Llama God had around a 3 KD versus Evil Geniuses, played incredibly well. So I think it's only fair if I do go on board with him off the start, as this is a very talented player, been competing kind of really known since Advanced Warfare, and he's definitely risen to the occasion on any squad that he's been on as far as a top slayer.
So here we go. The opening of Scorch Hardpoint so frequently just opens up with a bunch of grenades here, and you can see that was Llama God taking the point with that. However, not able to do too much as Zuma, the player I mentioned is going to be the key factor for FaZe Clan, pushes up aggressively following his two-piece. So now we have BitterSweet off their back foot while FaZe mounts up their setup on middle map.
And look at the side of BitterSweet just trying to possess those spawns over toward Turbine for the most part. Don't want to be too hyper-aggressive, but Lacefield's able to find a nice pick over inside and going to get at least a few seconds on the board for now. Double headshots coming in from FaZe, and Lacefield actually has to reload. A few excess shots coming in from Zuma, but he'll be able to pick it up regardless. 30 points to BitterSweet's 6. It looks like the rotation is now going to be on everyone's mind as the last few seconds start to tick down here on Bridge.
And right there we saw FaZe actually gave up the hard point pretty quickly after Zuma helped them take it initially. I think that was because if you look at their mini-map, their arrows on the mini-map too, you can see they just had no idea where BitterSweet was spawning from. And then once they came back off their third engagement, they were able to take over. But now, getting into our second hill, which is Turbine, this is a big 60 hard point, and usually the teams that get that first setup get most of the time. So FaZe, as you can see, are going to try and take their time and get in here, but with Attach dying first, that's going to stagger them and they have to wait.
And Llama God ends up rushing forward in some cases. Not a bad idea, but ends up dropping in that case. Mox finds one on Clayster. Nice kill there coming in from him. Nade comes out, needs to try and hold this one the best way he can. Lacefield actually finds two, one of them being his teammate. Now Spacey's left in a 1 versus 2, a position that he needs to clutch. He's able to find that one, and player number 1, Clayster, is going to actually try and enter in. This is a big gun fight that needs to be won, and Clayster will find it. His teammate spawned up next to him, and just like that, a nice early hold for BitterSweet, but one that's immediately responded there by FaZe.
Right, so you're seeing because BitterSweet got the first setup, they had over 30 seconds of hill time before FaZe was able to come through and answer to it. Now that they won that, they lost that last engagement, the players are spawning out towards Cave, they're going to be setting up towards Hangar. FaZe is also rotating players through hallway to meet them there, but they're going to be outnumbered, as well as BitterSweet having complete spawn control. So this is not looking very good to them. It seems like they're wasting their time more than anything.
So we'll see how BitterSweet can hold for now as the push, retake coming in from FaZe. A few players actually toward the bottom. Enable coming from the flank. This is a big kill. If Enable can at least find that early pick, and that looks like that's actually going to be found. Laceville ends up dropping, and here comes the push coming in from FaZe. 2 drop. Now a 2 versus 2 gunfight. Player number 4 inside. That's going to be Zuma. E-Round in hand. We talked about how important he is to this lineup, and this is one of the main points why. Nice kill. They're coming in. Enable's there to find at least a few coming from hallway, and FaZe looks like they're going to be able to hold on to this hill for now. As that push coming in actually might be halted for the time, but Mox wins a big gunfight versus Attach, and he's going to keep this hill now in favor of BitterSweet.
Zuma trying to fish for some information as to what he should be challenging and expecting around this corner. Dives into multiple BitterSweet players as well as some tactical grenades. That's not going to work out for him. Lacefield coming through with the double kill. And Landon, I actually got the chance to sit down with Mox and ask him some questions about his team coming into this event. Because Supreme Team was one of the most sort of underrated teams in the relegation tournament. A lot of the players I talked to didn't even consider them a threat. But he mentioned that himself and Lacefield are going to bring that pressure, that aggression that BitterSweet is going to need so badly, and that double kill right there sets a pretty good tone, especially with Lacefield being 12-6.
Yeah, double positive right now for Lacefield. We talked about his squads in the past. Even when we go back to H2K or even most recently Cloud9, he's always been a player who kind of been like a star in some cases. He's had a lot of pressure on him most recently, of course, over on Cloud9 as well. With Assault even being. So, he's had, experience with playing with top players and whatnot, but he's always had to be relied on as a top slayer. And whenever he does go off like he is right now, currently sitting at 15-6 on a 3 spree, he's the reason why BitterSweet is doing as well as they are right now.
Yeah, they're keeping it competitive here against FaZe, who is currently on their home game mode of Hardpoint. FaZe, though, not stopping their fight just yet. As you can see, so many kills going in favor of them as they had control of middle map, a little bit of it with just a player or two, and control over the remaining time on Drill. Now, BitterSweet is spawning up from the warehouse, and they're also spawning up so close to this hill because they're spawning in front of it. So FaZe Clan being separated so far across the map, as you can see on the mini-map, is going to have a difficult push ahead of them. Unless Enable gets a double kill here.
It nearly does, but either way, I think it's a really good kind of point to bring up when it comes into the BitterSweet lineup. Of course, many people know about FaZe. They know the history of these guys because they've been together for such a long time. Of course, it's kind of been rumored as to maybe ending shortly, but still, with the side of BitterSweet, though, we talk about the communication with this team as well. Mox, as young as he is, and I don't think we can go off enough about this guy. Being as young as he is, a great communicator for this lineup. Spacely as well. Kind of in some cases a veteran when it comes down to this lineup for sure. Been competing for such a long time. He's also a great communicator. I think when it comes into this squad, like I said, them kind of being related as an underdog team. While they might not maybe have like the best slang performances, their communication I feel like is probably very, very good.
Yeah, I haven't gotten to hear too much about their communication across from one another, but I'll take your word for it here. Something else that does stand out to me, though, FaZe, this lead that they had, this small lead that they had against BitterSweet, if you can look at the scoreboard here, they're leading by about a full minute, and they just have to break through the turbine here, which they were able to do successfully last time. So let's see what they can do on this Money Hill. This could be big for BitterSweet to bring it back, Landon.
Absolutely, it would be. And this is the hill to do it on, like you said. We'll see if FaZe can try and retake to go down. Nice kill found there from Attach. This would be a big second kill if he can find this one as well. But no, Lacefield will win that one, and that's going to be the push delayed for the moment. Lacefield getting caught out. Enable waiting for his teammate to try and retake this one, but a lot of time going over toward BitterSweet. A lot of free seconds being awarded. Here comes Zuma. Nice shots there from range with the ERAD. Standing at
there we go.
12 and 12, and here comes a potential retake coming in. Player number 6 left all by himself, and he's going to be shut down. But player number 5, actually, this is going to be Lacefield if he can make some noise. But no, he decides to go and back up. That should be the time sacrifice. So last few seconds going over toward FaZe with rotation toward Hangar is what everyone has on their minds.
I want to give credit to Lacefield right there for knowing that he can't challenge Zuma while he's in the hard point. He realizes with just a few seconds left, there's no reason to fight for that last 10 seconds of scrap time, especially if Zuma knows where he's at. So he rotates over to the next hard point, which is going to be here in the Hangar. And again, we see BitterSweet with the initial time. FaZe on the offense. Zuma finds the headshot on the Spacely. Attach coming through from the back to clear it out. Llama God is the frontline player, but he realizes he has to wait for the rest of his team to spawn up.
BitterSweet on a 3-man flank. The Scarab coming out from the side of FaZe to try and delay that push from happening. As Lacefield begins to enter in. FaZe still holding strong, but here comes the push from BitterSweet. Finds one, it looks like, for a few kills actually going to go BitterSweet's way. So nice hold there coming in from Spacely. BitterSweet's not giving this one up just yet. A lot of valuable time is not going to go in BitterSweet's favor. It looks like they're going to hold down the last 15 seconds of Hangar.
One player meeting Spacey at the opposite end of the hallway. Actually opts to go on the wall run, and that's Llama God that takes him down. And now we see the rotation coming into Drill. Gun engagement going on middle map. Player 7 and player 2. That's Llama God and Attach. Attach gets the better of him with the grenade kill, as you can see. But BitterSweet still has the setup. FaZe attempting to push through here, led by Clayster and Zuma. They find the kills they need, pushing BitterSweet further back into their spawn. shaky shots here coming from Clayster. Not able to finish it. Lamagod with a huge two-piece with his E-Rad. He's finally taken down by Zuma, a key player we talked about before this map started.
Yeah, and thankfully for Clayster, Zuma was there. So the setup doesn't really get affected too much, but either way, you cannot have inconsistent or shaky shots like that versus players, very individual, talented players like this. But here comes the break potentially. Lacefield ends up finding 2 in that setup, and just like that, they have been broken wide open. 25 seconds left on Drill, and BitterSweet intends on getting every single one of those. As this one is not over just yet, Fox. Just when we start to count out BitterSweet, they start to make setups happen. They start to use that communication and that individual slang talent that they have as coming together as a unit. Definitely putting it to good use.
Yeah, and as I mentioned, Mox feels that himself and Lacefield bring a lot of slang presence to this team right now. Well, if you take a look at the scoreboard, who's contributing to that the most? We see Lacefield is. He's contributing and going nearly double positive. Now, Mox, he's not doing poorly. He's just marginally negative here. But with a score deficit like this, you do want to see him pick it up and just really take over and close out map number 1. Dangerous gunfight going down here on middle map, but Lacefield stays alive throughout most of it.
Nice and good engagement there from Lacefield. You can see he's feeling confident, and when he's feeling confident, that's the scariest Lacefield to face off against. Very talented up-and-comer. The guy is willing to get in your face quite a bit, as it looks like BitterSweet might actually take the lead here, but here comes FaZe going to try and contest for some of this time. It looks like they might hold on to the lead for the time being. 2v2 gun engagement going down toward middle, as Lacefield actually ends up rocking the reactive armor to close out the gunfights. As it will be BitterSweet who now have the lead. Rotation got to be on everyone's mind over toward Turbine, but FaZe kind of got to get in here quick, because if not, this could be a hill that BitterSweet could get around that 240 mark on.
The score limit's 250. If you take a look at the scoreboard in the top right corner, many payloads have been built up for at least 6 of the players in this lobby. Expect to see FTL jump, reactive armor, active camo, all coming through for the final moments of this game. FaZe Clan finds himself in position for Turbine Hardpoint on the initial time for the first time this entire map, and BitterSweet has to run into the face of a Centurion. The stage is set. It's going to be a difficult fight. Can they do it?
Set up to try and do it on player, just made it over toward that head glitch. He quickly gets dropped, and now it's inside of BitterSweet. He tried to engage, FTL jump, gets rocked, and actually finds it for Lamagod. He'll find 2 with that, tries to stay alive, but the E-Rad shots aren't going to be home. Clayster is there for the cleanup, and back and forth we do go, as it will be BitterSweet who have control of the hill for now. Double Centurions on the hill for the time, as it looks like we'll see a BitterSweet can try to close this one out. Only a few more seconds needed. Here comes some of the streaks. Zuma ends up killing himself, and Clayster will find 2 with the streak. Lamagod trying to stay alive, Mox as well. This is just absolute chaos for the end of this Turbine and Hardpoint. Are we going to need to rotate, or can BitterSweet lock this one down? Clayster rocking the active camera to try and engage inside. Finds Mox, and can he find another one? Only 2 more seconds needed, and just like that, can they grab it? Is the question. 1v1 engagement, and Zuma is going to wait here. He's actually going to go and hold out the hard point for the time. Rotation comes in,
Clay
and FaZe is going
right
to be there.
We got to talk about Clay's play right there with the camo at the end of this game, because it was big. Rotating to the new hard point now. We're in the warehouse phase. 7 seconds away, but BitterSweet is 1 second away. They want to come through, break this, and contest for just a moment. One flank coming in. That's Lamagod. He's taken down by himself. FaZe Clan wins by 1 second, and you can't hear it, but the crowd watching FaZe Clan on the Bravo station just went crazy.
What an incredible comeback from the side of FaZe Clan. They were down, and at the end, we talked about Clayster's active camo play to try and find Mox. We talked about Zuma just staying alive, not even trying to find the kill, but just trying to stay up for as long as possible to contest that hill until he rotated over toward Hangar. I mean, we have seen plays like that happen from FaZe all year when it comes into hardpoint, constantly making comebacks. That's due to the great chemistry and the great communication that this roster has.
Right, and I want to mention Clay's play right there with the active camo. You noticed that when he was on that ramp, he called it, he activated his camo, but he didn't dip his foot into the hill just yet.
Right.
And he just kind of waited a second outside of it, so he didn't know he was there. And as soon as someone turned the corner, he jumps in, gets the kill, gets that bonus towards his score streaks of finding a kill on the objective. And then him and Zuma were just huge, highly impactful players, and just wasting enough time for their team to make a play.
I feel like every time it comes down to it, it's like every match that we've seen from FaZe as far as Infinite Warfare, a lot of their highlights come from these hardpoint comebacks that they make, even starting from the first event, even to the most recent one here, obviously, in Anaheim. But still, a fantastic game. It's not very often that you see a one-point match in hardpoint, but FaZe, they're able to make it happen, man. Despite a lot of the roster rumors with this roster, I mean, something about this team just works, and obviously goes to show the communication and the chemistry coming out there.
And it continues to work. This has been Hardpoint has been their bread and butter since Black Ops 3.
Oh, absolutely.
This roster together just works in that game mode, and they're well aware of it. Right. But let's think about it this way, though. On the side of BitterSweet, they lose by 1 point. They still have to be feeling pretty good about that.
Oh, yeah.
Sure, you're upset that you lost such a close game, but they just went toe-to-toe with one of the best Hardpoint teams in the game that have been one of the best Hardpoint teams in the game for going on 2 years now. So going into the rest of this series, I think that they steal another map, possibly in the Search and Destroy that's going to be coming up in Game 2. and we could see an interesting series here, at least in the beginning stages.
Oh, for sure. And I think, one issue that we kind of talked about was we talked about Mox not really having the greatest performances. Laceville definitely kind of keeping up for that.
Oh, and to clarify, though, Mox wasn't performing poorly.
Oh, no. He
right.
just wasn't up to the same level that we're used to seeing him.
Exactly.
I think that was due to the map in some cases of Scorch. MV4, usual player, kind of an outrange, a K-bar player as well.
Okay.
Probably not the best map suited for him in that particular case. So had it been maybe a different map in some ways, if Laceville continues to go off like the way he did, I think we could have maybe even seen BitterSweet take that. But either way, it's still just the consistent plays from FaZe who, the veterans kind of went out in that.
Right. So, guys, we're going to take a look at the box score for this hardpoint right here to sort of break down exactly where a lot of this time comes. Now, this is the stat that I was expecting to see, is a pretty big lead on the Turbine hardpoint from BitterSweet compared to FaZe Clan. You can see they're leading by about 30 seconds. I think that comes down mostly to what happened in the first hill, where we saw that BitterSweet was able to get the first, 35, 40 seconds of the hill before FaZe Clan was really able to answer back, because they kept getting picked off one by one when they were pushing, and BitterSweet was able to capitalize on it. But you see, those bridge hills, I think we saw it in the first FaZe series too on the stream, is that's where they're pretty strong.
Yeah, like I said, we talk about Turbine and Hangar, kind of in some cases muddy hills for this. I mean, 88 and 76 to FaZe's 51 and 45. I mean, if you see that most of the time that a team had more time on both Turbine and Hangar, you'd expect them to win that series. But in some cases, FaZe just made it up for the rotations, obviously, like I said, in Bridge as well as Drill as well. So, I mean, with that, all the credit to them, because they definitely they won a game in some cases where the odds were for sure stacked against them.
Yeah, and you see it here at the bottom, looking at our players here and their highest statistics. Laceville posting a 1.65 KD ratio. That is huge for a Slayer on your team. You want to see that out of him every single time. Unfortunately for him, it doesn't translate to a win. You absolutely need your whole team contributing strategically to win a hard point against FaZe Clan. You're not just going to outkill them. This is not a team that you can just outslay and look for a victory.
I'm glad that you bring that up, because I feel like there's some teams in Call of Duty right now that's just like you can't beat them just off brute force. Like you have to do a number of different things, kind of facing off against them. It's not just the kills that win you the game. It's just really kind of everything: communication, chemistry, et cetera, et cetera. And FaZe just goes to show how deep, their overall difficulties into beating them kind of do go.
And we saw how that big fight of payloads and score streaks towards that final hill on Turbine. Once you let those players get that lead, they're not just going to let it go. They're going to have score streaks. They're going to know when exactly to use them. And Clayster comes through with 2 big kills just at the end of that game there. Just veteran play out of them.
Absolutely. So let's go ahead and focus our attention over to the Search and Destroy now. Of course, kind of getting out of that hardpoint mentality. Hopefully BitterSweet doing the same, not really focusing too much on that recent loss. But
tough loss.
When it comes down to the Search and Destroy, as far as major players to be looking at for the side of BitterSweet, because of course we do know as far as like the major players from Search and Destroy for FaZe, on the side of BitterSweet, who are you looking at to kind of make some noise and potentially try to grant them this map number 2 victory?
I feel like Spacely often, depending on the group that he's in, the roster that's surrounding him, I feel like he has some very clutch moments in Search and Destroy that sort of go overlooked. So on the side of BitterSweet, I do look for him to contribute. Mox was telling me that when this team was really first starting to practice and everything like that, it's him and Spacely that are very vocal on the identity and their strategies, and they're critically just sort of criticizing everything they do, right? Constructively criticizing the things that they do. So I look to see them contribute quite a bit in Search and Destroy here. And this is definitely a game mode they can take. I say this time and time again. FaZe has a very, very low 3-0 potential. So I feel like the odds are actually in favor of BitterSweet to take at least one map in this instance.
I definitely agree with you. I mean, I think in some cases when it comes down to a map like Crusher as well, I mean, if you choose the right side, if you make certain hits the right way in some cases, you can definitely be granted a few easy rounds. Going to be looking through the arsenal when it comes into both these squads. Potentially could see some sniper play coming out of either team, but it looks like at least for this round number 1, we're actually going to be seeing Clayster rock the longbow here off the start. While he is going to be on offense, most likely going to provide some presence toward that middle map. Make sure a flank doesn't happen off the start and see if he can maybe try to catch a player off guard. But regardless, it will be FaZe who start off on the offensive, enable the bomb carrier, and actually Clayster going to be hopping inside an A-bomb with that sniper rifle. Oof. I think I actually saw in your series, he actually had that one out on uplink.
Yes, he did. For the opening rounds, the opening engagements, he would have a sniper and look for specific gunfights. Worked pretty well at times, but Rated kind of caught on to it and expected it. Or Reedy, excuse me. So here we are. Clayster, again, comfortable with this sniper rifle in Infinite Warfare. He knows exactly what lane he's supposed to be watching, has his team supporting him. FaZe actually has no one watching for their flank here. So if BitterSweet could have sent someone by now, that actually would have benefited in a great way. Spacely, though, finding that first blood onto Zuma. Zuma is someone that typically has high first blood percentage, but he's not able to do it here. All kills going in favor of BitterSweet, and that's a pretty swift round.
It is 2 for Lamagad and 1 for both Spacely and Laceville as they'll close out that round number 1. I got to ask you, though, I mean, for future rounds, do you think it's a good idea for Clayster to rock a sniper rifle in that case, even at those long range? Because it seems like he's feeling pretty confident with it, which, of course, he's a great sniper. But when it comes into those close quarter engagements, I mean, a stun or an ERAD up close, I mean, he's kind of useless in some cases.
Well, I think it's that he just, if you know where they're going to be at, any range, as long as it's not point-blank range, you can do something with the sniper, right? If he's just that confident knowing where their position is going to be, or at least knows the key position that his team needs him to watch, I think you can find value out of the sniper as a zoning tool. So let's take a look at this offensive play, though. As the side switch, we're now looking at BitterSweet on the offensive front. They want to put that bomb down, and with opening up the round with 2 kills, that makes it a hell of a lot easier.
It does. Lamagod getting that bomb down, and now Clayster and Naval left in a position to try and clutch man disadvantage for the side of FaZe. And Clayster finds one on Lamagod. Now going to be a 2 versus 2. It looks like 1 kill gets traded. A few extra shots coming in there from Lacefield, I believe, on Clayster. And Naval is going to spot basically through that mid-map. So 1 versus 1, some time to work with, but not a whole lot, as Naval has to make that rotation over to B pretty quick.
25 seconds, going to take him at least 10 seconds to even get over to the site, and he still has to go through Lacefield, excuse me. I just don't see this one happening. 15 seconds remaining. Enable on the flank just behind him. Not going to win the gunfight, and that's a round win for BitterSweet.
A solid win there from Lacefield in the end, and I think there's a few moments at that first game that I was noticing. Like you said, I believe it was Turbine, where he kind of backs up, doesn't actually engage on that hill, and he kind of backs up in some cases.
Right.
Previously, maybe a few months ago on different rosters, he might have actually kind of rushed that out, and maybe due to the great communication of his teammates, or maybe just the overall communication from them as well. Maybe it's kind of made him overall a better player, more of a passive player as well. And I was kind of worried about him in that 1 versus 1 engagement. Would he be a little bit too aggressive? And he kind of plays it out well. So I think over time you can kind of see the development of players like him, such a very talented player like him as well, to kind of be more passive and play more as he should.
Right, and it's funny you say that, because Mox was mentioning that he felt Cloud9 didn't really capitalize on Lacefield as well as they could, because they were all playing at such different paces.
Yeah.
They had such different ideas on how to engage certain situations that they were in, and he feels that Lacefield is he's at home with this roster in terms of pace. So looking at the round right now, though, we're seeing a 2 versus 2 situation. BitterSweet is looking for a flank as they both go through middle map, expecting the bomb plant. FaZe still has yet to put it, but they're just starting to do it now.
Chance getting that bomb down, quickly spotted out from Mox. Thankfully, though, for him, kill will go down, and just like that, Spacely will be there for the ending kill, and just like that, that's going to be the defuse given, looks like, toward Mox.
I wonder why Attach was standing straight up to plant that bomb. He was standing straight up and out.
I wonder if he was maybe going to sit toward that door potentially to try and watch an angle, and Spacely is going to kill himself.
Yeah, he wants to give Mox the solo defuse bonus towards his score streaks here. The hero, the plus 100.
Indeed, of course, in recent patches as well, the bomb plants and bomb diffuse no longer going to your payloads as well, so that kind of obviously plays factor when it comes into how important payloads are.
Right.
So got to keep that in mind. Your active camo, overdrive, reactive armor guys, definitely very, very important to make sure that they're playing pretty consistent when it comes into search and destroy and getting those kills where they may.
So let's see how things open up now. BitterSweet on the offensive side. Again, they're currently 3-0. FaZe just can't put any numbers on the board. And it looks like they're going to be running into the aim-down sights in V4 of Clayster, who gets some damage off, but Attach is able to find a kill for his team. He's also going to be watching that wall run. It looks like a BitterSweet player just might run into his trap here soon, but has the help of Lamagod, so that does give him a little bit of breathing room to move up here.
Gene enable toward that ending rock. 3 versus 3. Gunfight still going down. Spacely gets caught off, and just like that, let's see if Lamagod can try to get a play down, but no, he ends up getting found out. Pox now left in a position to clutch 1 versus 3, and it's not going to be happening. A nice retake coming in there from FaZe, as they're now going to be up, or not up, excuse me, finally getting around on the board, rather. That was a much needed round. I mean, being down 3-1 is much different than 4-0. So that's definitely some momentum that they need to have in their favor.
Right, it just means your executions are not working at all at that point, right? But we do see FaZe put something on the board here. Mox, who was trying to get some score streaks going after that bomb defuse, is shut down pretty swiftly, so that's pretty big for FaZe momentum-wise. Take a look at the payload progression here. We see Lamagod is approaching his. He's currently at 4 kills, so that's going to be pretty big for the team. He also has that bomb defuse, or plant, excuse me. And we take a look on the side of FaZe Clan. Attach and Enable are working their way there. Mox pulls up the sniper rifle on middle map. Let's see what these engagements look like.
Clayster actually finds one playing pretty passively through that mid-map. Lacefield's there to respond, so 3 versus 3, Enable getting that bomb down, and we're going to be 75 points away from that Scarab. See how BitterSweet tries to retake. Nice snipe there, actually coming in from Mox at a closer range, holding that angle well. Yeah,
see, if you know where they're coming from, at that point, the range really doesn't matter if you can just read it and react. We see FaZe, though. They put the bomb down. They're a little outnumbered here, so they're trying to back up and see if they can, by giving this map pressure away to BitterSweet, they try to catch them off guard and try and play a little bit more comfortable. And Enable moving up with the MV4, though, at that range, I'm not sure what that play was, and that's not going to work out for them at all, as Attach is left in a 1 versus 2, Landon.
And one has to get on the bomb actually pretty quick. Attach shuts down one, and now he just has to check the bomb. Lacefield is going to go ahead and Vin to hop off of it.
Maybe he wasn't close enough. We couldn't exactly see the progress, but Lacefield opts to put the bomb down mid-defuse as he felt that he was going to be killed before it was completed.
Yeah, and in that case, you're in a 1 versus 1. You got to expect that Attach would check it, but I think he was. I don't think he was pretty close to getting that one down. Had Attach not checked the bomb, he obviously could have got it off. But in some cases, just really a play to make sure that Attach doesn't get any more toward his score streaks or anything like that. So in some cases, it's a smart play, but it looked kind of like an odd play in some ways there from Lacefield. Regardless, though, getting closer toward that reactive armor. I know we talked about the payload situations. Attach currently the closest one in the entire lobby toward that FTL jump. Not the most valuable one, but it's definitely one you can earn pretty quick, as we'll see what BitterSweet can do in this round number 6 in offense.
Right. And on the side of FaZe Clan, we typically look at Enable to do big things for them in Search and Destroy. But you see Zuma kind of dragging them down a little bit, currently 1 and 5, and you got to imagine that would contribute to the round deficit they had up until this point, where they're only down by 1. Attach opens things up on this side of the map with a kill onto Spacely. Llama Guy looks like he's trying to find someone off guard, but with this bomb, I think he just wants to get away and sort of reset with his teammate here as they find themselves outnumbered in a 2 versus 3 situation.
Potentially you could see them try to make a push over toward that A site. Lacefield with that MV4. Nice angle to hold with, but looks like they'll Vin to try to make their way toward the other side. Llama got little does he know, he's actually gotten a few players just right next to him, able to hop in the building only for a short time. And now it's going to be left up to Lacefield. 1 versus 3, make it a 1 versus 2, has reactive armor. Probably not the best decision to use it. And just like that, that's going to be FaZe winning back-to-back rounds, 3 straight. As they've definitely got some momentum under their belt, and they've ridden it ever since.
So, Landon, we saw right there, Lacefield was able to get his reactive armor. He's going to have that for future rounds. We see FaZe Clan starting to claw their way back into this game. So this could go the distance, and that's where these payloads will really, really start to count. I think there's one other play on the side of BitterSweet that should have their soon. That's going to be Llama Guy, and I think it's FTL jump for him. Yes, that it is. So it looks like he's going to be 1 kill until he gets it. FaZe, though, looking like they're going to push towards a site without the sniper this time in the hands of Clayster.
We'll see if they can try to find that first pick, exactly what they're trying to find right now. Spacey holding that angle just off toward the right of the bomb. Nice angle there with that K-bar. See some E-Rat shots being exchanged over near you as Enable decides to back up.
And see, it might look like Clayster's out of position here, but I think his role is to just watch the flank and give his team assurance that they only have to look at what's in front of them. And it ends up working out. Zoom is able to find himself a kill. Some trophies defense coming in here as Enable tries to push up against the enemy team. Again, with that NV4, though, it's so tough to win against the K-bar as Spacely shuts that play down with a double kill.
Yeah, pretty slow gunfights in some cases going down, and that's going to be awarded toward the side of BitterSweet. 1 versus 3 for Clayster, just trying to catch someone maybe running out of that A site. Looks like he's not going to find anyone, at least for now. Nice parkour skills, but in the end, it's not going to equal out to a round victory, as Lacefield, I believe, is going to be at 9 and 4 right now. So back-to-back game performances, having big moments there for him.
Yeah,
he's ridden that momentum from that first hard point and definitely riding it here through that search and destroy, so we'll see him in the final kill.
Clay the parkour master, huh?
He's got some good movement, man. That's pretty impressive, not going to lie. Although for me, it's like, I don't think I could stay on the wall run for more than like 8 seconds.
Yeah, these guys definitely know how to sort of manage the time that of their thruster pack and everything. So looking towards the middle map, we're seeing Clayster again with the sniper rifle, halfway towards his active camo. And it looks like we're actually halfway towards how long this S&D might go. So you want to see him continue that pace so you can have it towards round 10 and 11. But the payloads on the side of BitterSweet are pretty much all gold. Spacey's approaching his. Llama God and Lacefield just waiting for that right moment. And they're looking at a pretty decent advantage because of that early big start they got of going 3-0.
Nice timing there from Llama God to actually destroy that Scarab there with stun. Looks like still throwing some nades out, trying to hold that angle. As Lacefield actually finds one on Clayster. Nice first blood found, especially when it comes into being on that offensive. One player actually rushes in by himself. That's going to be Zuma, but attaches here for the response. He quickly drops, and just like that, a 1 versus 2 now for Enable. Thankfully, he is on defense, at least one thing to kind of look forward to, but regardless, it should be Llama God getting that bomb down here shortly. Not a payload to work with as far as an offensive, but see what Enable could potentially try to do. Is this is a position to try and clutch. Spots one player toward that back rock. Actually sees both of them right now, so if he can find this one in space, that would be big, but unfortunately, this is just not looking good for Enable at this point.
Yeah, that's a tough shot to hit, too, at that range. While he's midair and coming down, really not easy to hit someone off of that chest-high cover of the rock. Lamagod playing the close choke, as he should with the E-Rad. Finds the easy kill on an unsuspecting Enable. And now we see BitterSweet going up 5-3. They still have payloads to work with, Landon. This should be the end of the Search and Destroy if BitterSweet play it right.
It definitely should be, but they also should have closed that hard point out in some cases, too. So we've seen FaZe clutch up in some ways. This should definitely be a game that goes over to BitterSweet. We'll see what this side of FaZe can try and produce. First Bloods would be big, and that's exactly what Clayster can provide with the Sniper. Of course, decides to go and switch to the MV4. When it comes down to offenses, they're going to be making their way here toward a pretty standard B hit. And look at the side of BitterSweet, playing pretty consistent. Lamagod checking at A side and quickly checking every angle possible.
So we're seeing a Scarab using the third-person factor of it. They're able to see around the corner. Trophy system blocking the grenades. They're playing very aggressively up onto this corner. The Scarab, though, freezing them and stopping them a bit here, giving Mox the opportunity to find a kill onto Zuma, who was weakened from it. So now FaZe has to play this site 3 versus 4. BitterSweet floods in, finding more kills in their favor. One player left alive. That's Clayster. Outmanned and outgunned. That's the end of the S&D here.
Laceful, I were to see this final kill cam because he finds at least a few kills here in this one. Gunfights, they don't matter. That's going to be the butt of the gun to the face of Clayster. Insult to injury to close out that round, as that's going to be BitterSweet, who finally get on the board. A game that we expected them to win after playing as well as they did. But like you said, Fox, BitterSweet, you expected them to take a game. They just gave that to you.
I figured this would be it. I don't have too much faith in them going on to the rest of this series, though, because I think the uplink at hardpoint is definitely going to favor this team with such incredible chemistry and strength in those game modes. But we'll have to see how it goes from here on. So, guys, I'm Fox. This is Landon. We're watching FaZe Clan versus BitterSweet. We're going to cut to a quick commercial break, and we'll be back with Game 3.
Maybe not. Maybe we will. There we go. Welcome everyone back to the CWL Anaheim Open presented by the PlayStation 4. Myself, Lando, as well as Fox, currently guiding you guys through a fantastic series currently going on between FaZe Clan and BitterSweet. We've seen pretty interesting gameplay up to this point. FaZe and BitterSweet currently tied up at 1-1. As this next uplink going to be on Frost. Fox, I want to know some of your thoughts actually when it comes down to this one. I know we do have a key player matchup lined up to kind of talk about this next map as well, but in your opinion, when it comes down to Frost, who are you favoring?
I got to look towards FaZe Clan. This is specifically this uplink map. Frost uplink is something they've actually been working closely on, and they've improved that a ton over the past couple of months. So let's take a look at some of the players we can expect to go off in this series. This is our key player matchup between Enable and Spacely. You can see Spacely fresh into the Call of Duty World League. Spacely finally getting into the Call of Duty World League through relegation. He finds himself as our G Fuel key player, facing off against Enable, someone that every single time you see FaZe playing, he's someone you want to talk about. A 1.13 KD ratio, facing off against Spacely's 1.13 KD ratio. But as we get into uplink, that is the statistic you want to look at the most. Look at the glaring difference between these two teams.
Oh yeah, you can definitely see it. You can obviously see Enable having a fantastic turnaround to this point, 1.4. Would hope, at least for every other competitor, that would go down as time does go on, because if he's slaying like that, I don't expect to see FaZe lose too many uplinks, at least for the most part. But of course, you can see both of their strong suits so far throughout the tournament, and both these guys definitely players to watch out for when it comes down to this next one over on Frost. So with that, I think we got the players loading in, making sure everything is good to go. After taking a quick little break, but like I said, we talked about Frost. I'm going to talk to you about the angles, like different sides to be starting off on. When it comes down to Frost, is there a certain side to be preferring, or whichever team would like to spawn on first or second?
I think it's so variable, especially in matchups like these, that it actually doesn't even matter at this point, because we have a team like BitterSweet that's so new to it that FaZe could easily take advantage of them on what is considered the weaker side on this map. Especially with that sub-heavy presence, they could definitely take advantage of their ability to rally over and over again. But I do think that a lot of teams are able to capitalize coming from the ship side towards ice, scoring quite a bit more lately.
Okay. Yeah, so with that, of course, like we said, a number of different things kind of coming into this match. We're definitely both favoring FaZe, I think, respectively. I think it's over time, especially how long this roster has been together and how consistently they've been so far throughout Infinite Warfare. You kind of have to give them some credit, to say the least, especially when it comes down to a map and mode like this. So with that, players we're looking out for BitterSweet. I think we definitely have to be looking at players like Lacefield as well, and having a fantastic performance in both game number 1 and game number 2. And also, if you look at it, there's not really a whole lot of negatives to be taking right now if you're BitterSweet. You lost by 1 point in the hard point. Granted, that's unfortunate, but at least you faced off against them very closely, and then you obviously close at the search and destroy in not dominant fashion, but definitely a very stable case at that. So, I mean, when it comes to this next map, of course, players from BitterSweet that you think need to have a good performance for them to close out this one, if we even expect them to.
On the side of BitterSweet, I look to see Lacefield and Spacely contributed in some meaningful way. Lacefield is not our G Fuel key player matchup. That's going to be Spacely. However, Lacefield is going to be the one contributing in the kill feed the most. Now, Spacely, of course, is the one calling the shots, and that's why he's so important. He's the veteran of this roster, and he's the one that's communicating what to do the most. So on the side of BitterSweet, that's what you want to look for.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. And when it comes down to the guys from FaZe as well, I think there's never different guys kind of expect to kind of be going off. I mean, we ended up seeing Enable's KD for a reason. 1.4 up to this point. I think it's definitely fair that I do have to start on board with him once we get in the game and whatnot. But from the side of FaZe, I think we could definitely expect to see some consistent gameplay, some high chemistry, a lot of high communication from these guys as well is definitely something that they're very talented at. When it comes down to the guys in BitterSweet, like we said, communication can be there for sure. Spacely, Mox, definitely main communicators for them. But I think when it comes down to it, as far as the chemistry for them, it might be a little bit of an issue still. But like I said, it seems to not really affect him, at least throughout the first two maps.
It's funny you say that, because Mox did mention to me in the interview that I had with him that he feels that his team is at their best when Lacefield is communicating well and in a good mood. He put a lot on the shoulders of Lacefield's just attitude in the moment. So I just feel like that could definitely be something that works against them. He was saying that it's something that's very, very fickle. So I'm curious to see how it goes in this uplink here.
Yeah, there were a few moments I remember, back in Cloud9, whenever obviously Lacefield was on that lineup, where he would have issues after a map would end, or there wasn't really someone to kind of cater to him or tell him, it was okay, like, we're going to move on to the next map, it's fine. So I think, kind of having this veteran presence, or at least a guy like Mox who can obviously communicate to him at his level, in some cases kind of being similar players as far as their career timeline is considered, definitely works out well. So we'll see what BitterSweet can potentially try and produce, as it's going to be up 1-1 for both of these squads. It looks like Attach firing some early shots with that E-Rad through middle. It looks like a few kills going over toward BitterSweet. Now Attach left in a position to try and at least delay this process from pushing from the side of BitterSweet.
So since the beginning of Infinite Warfare, this has actually been the part of the map on their opening breakouts that Attach has been the one that's sort of designated to go over there, and you can see why. He just does so well on that side of the map. He wins a lot of the key gunfights, but as you saw, he was outnumbered. The rest of his team wasn't able to get the kills that they needed. Weren't able, excuse me. So here comes the one-point play attempt. They're able to take them down just before the goal goes through. So now we can see Enable on the offensive front for FaZe Clan, trying to move this drone lower on the side of the map towards Ice.
Now, I don't know about you, Fox, but I felt like that toss should have 100% gone in. I feel like it was a little bit too delayed from the side of BitterSweet. I mean, they had a perfect, perfect blockers kind of leading the way in some cases, and I feel like that player kind of waited a little bit too long to try and toss that one off. So I don't know about you, but I just feel like they really should have got that scoring opportunity off, because I don't know how many they're going to have. Really, this game.
Yeah, right. You got to capitalize on all of them, because I don't see FaZe giving them too many opportunities. But right there, they're returning the corner into a firing range of FaZe players, right? So all those bullets coming down, it's going to be hard to avoid them and get a shot off as quickly as you can. You want to sort of buy your time and wait until that last perfect moment, but he waited a little too long. Now, still FaZe's turn with the drone. You see Attach making moves through the sub bay. He knows that there are going to be several BitterSweet players nearby working off of that communication. So he throws the drone down, tries to make his own play alongside Enable. He does just that. Mox answers back with 2 kills, but not before FaZe puts 1 point on the board.
That was a great, kind of read of communication there. You can obviously see from the side of FaZe. Attach kind of reads, finds one player, quickly obviously knows that the stun comes in, so he's able to at least escape for now. Has the lead blocker, and FaZe able to score the first point of the game. Good communication coming out from them early, as they actually do shut down the drone here due to nice 2-piece coming in there from Zuma. Drone being tossed forward, and we'll see if they can try to get at least a 1-point toss off. Waiting for all teammates to try and line them up. 2 players go down, and this should be a scoring opportunity for FaZe. At least a 1-point play could potentially come in from Attach, but kills come in, and Spacely's not going to be able to jump up high enough. So back-to-back plays coming in there from FaZe.
You see the discipline right there. Attach knows he's not getting a dunk out of the situation, so as soon as he turns the corner, tosses it right in with just enough time to spare. Now, it's going to be up to Lacefield here with the drone on the offensive front and with the rest of BitterSweet. But FaZe Clan is going to be just around the corner. His teammate has to win that gunfight. He can't do it. Attach guns both Lacefield and Mox, while Lacefield had the drone in his hands. Lamagod trying to answer back, but he's the only answer they have left, and FaZe looks like they're trying to push to the base.
It almost looked a little bit too congested in that case. It looked like they were trying to debate who was going to pick up the drone and who was going to go for the gunfight in some ways.
It's a little confusing.
It seemed like maybe the communication there from those two guys, who aren't really most vocal players in some cases, definitely could have been the case there between both between both Lamagod and Lacefield. So we'll see how that obviously does play out. 2-minute warning in this first half of Uplink. While FaZe do have a lead and they've looked pretty strong so far, it's still only a 1-possession game. And if you're the side of BitterSweet, we know how talented these guys have been in the past on different rosters. They can definitely fire away that soon.
Right, and like I said, I feel the lines are a little blurred as to what is the good side on Frost Uplink here. I feel like it can kind of go either way depending on the matchup, especially when you have 2 teams with such a big disparity in their talent in the game mode. So I expect a similar performance once we get to that second side, unless, of course, BitterSweet can answer back in a big way here. But every time they get the drone, whoever doesn't have the drone in their hands is dead. Like, the team is just wiped, and then they're just hunting down the objective player, and BitterSweet just can't seem to do anything about it.
Yeah, I feel like Uplink is a good combination of both hardpoint and search and destroy. It's obviously the slang of hardpoint, but also the communication that you're going to need in search and destroy. So kind of like the best of both worlds in some cases, what you get with Uplink. We'll see if Glacier can actually fire that one away, but no, too many BitterSweet players lying in that shot. It looks like Lamagod's going to come away with it. Only 1 minute left in this first half of Uplink. It looks like he is going to have a few lead blockers with him. Very close to the FTL jump as well, but not going to play too much when it comes down to getting this toss off. Few players standing in the way. Player number 7 is going to be enabled. Can he fire that one off? And yes, just at the end, Lamagod able to find the angle. It looks like BitterSweet finally do get on the board.
Kills going in favor of FaZe, though, so they should be able to get towards middle map before the rest of BitterSweet. They have to read these spawns, but it doesn't matter. They can read it all they want. They're still on respawn. So many kills coming in from BitterSweet. One gunfight on middle map that Enable needed to win to sort of cushion this push that they're about to make, and he loses it. So now it's going to be up to Zuma on the front line here towards blue, but he's surrounded by those players in red. Spacely and Lacefield finding kills, the double kill from the key player Spacely. It looks like a scoring opportunity is on the horizon with 2 FaZe players around the corner and one of them being dead. There's another point on the board, and we're getting into our second half tied up.
Indeed, and major credit to actually the side of BitterSweet to actually give that drone over toward Mox as well. The active camo player, definitely want to see him get as close to that payload as possible, and wanting to be able to use the active camo and overdrive players to the best use that they can. But like you said, 2 straight points fired away from BitterSweet at the end, as we're going to be level heading into the next 5 minutes. Definitely some pretty consistent play from BitterSweet up to this point.
Right.
I think, to be fair, we've seen some pretty consistent plays from Lacefield sitting through at that middle map, Lamagod as well.
I do want to mention something about BitterSweet really quick and their performance so far in this uplink. If you take a look at our scoreboard, we've seen that up until this point, I think Lacefield at one point was actually 4-12. He's now bringing it up to 8-14. Lamagod is sitting at 16-12, and at this point, he's actually had fewer deaths than Lacefield throughout the entire game. I think most of that is because Lacefield has been the one holding the drone or the one escorting the drone carrier. Lamagod has been doing a lot of base defense and cleaning up after FaZe scores. So I feel like that's what's going on here. But we're seeing another score come in from the side of BitterSweet at 360 as we see Lacefield put on 2 points on the board.
I'd give it a 10 for the 360, but unfortunately you only get 2 points, Lacefield. I'm sorry to hear that, pal. But either way, 4-2, like you said. It looks like on the overextension phase now, trying to get a scoring opportunity on the board. They'll have to set up for the 1-point toss, and the kill will come in there from Enable as well. So now 4 points to 3. BitterSweet with the lead in their favor, and Lamagod still lingering around with that E-Red in hand.
Lamagod moving towards middle map, hitting that high wall run. Clayster seemed like he was ready for it, and he's actually the only one to find a kill in this entire team fight on mid. So now that's going to be BitterSweet with an opportunity to move the drone again. Lacefield has been the one with the drone in his hands the most here for the team. Trying to put the point on the board, no one can connect it. Instead, they toss it right to a FaZe player as they all get wiped. One player last alive here just behind them, but being behind enemy lines when there's 4 of them swarming you, that's not going to work out well. Lamagod staggered from the rest of his team here, Landon, and now FaZe is moving up Ice Path.
I'm not sure if that last play from the side of BitterSweet was just maybe miscommunication in some cases, if it was Mox saying, pass it to me, or he wasn't ready for it. But either way, some kind of misconstrued plays that are coming in from that side is they're obviously going to pay for it. Of course, they are going to be able to win those gunfights for the most part, but Clayster actually going to be on the flank. Lamagod is there to respond, so he's going to be shut down, at least for now. We'll see if BitterSweet can try and make up for their mistakes in that last play and at least try to get at least a 1-point toss on the board. Lamagod continuing to be that lead blocker, and will the 1-point toss come through? Yes, it will. Now a 1-possession advantage. BitterSweet now lead 5-3.
Yep, no one in range for the interception there. 2 players of BitterSweet staying alive in the FaZe base. So with FaZe spawning up on red side, they have to know that something's up. Someone is behind them. As you can see, they get those kills. Player 7, that was enabled, turns around and looks inside instantly for the team shot with Zuma onto Lacefield. This now gives them the opportunity to push up through blue with the drone as a team coming in through the hallway. He has access to the FTL jump, but has to kill the players in front of him. He tosses the drone just in between them and finds 1 point for FaZe.
What a great play there from Attach. You can obviously see the communication there coming up from FaZe to kind of dodge out to the opposite side and then to go through Ice Tunnel, and it works out very, very well for them. Nice toss there from Attach, as they're now going to be only down by 1 point. 2 minutes and 25 seconds remain in this second half of some Frost uplink. BitterSweet still with the lead. They've definitely impressed us so far in this series, and they've continued to do it here in this uplink. But Clayster trying to delay that, trying to get this dunk to go off, and that's going to be an easy dunk for them. Players coming off the respawn through blue is not going to get it done, as now FaZe had the lead.
And we take a look at the progress of these players and their KDs. We both mentioned actually what we expected for Lacefield to contribute in this map. He's currently double negative, but he's been playing most of the objective here, and I think we've seen a lot of failed objective plays out of the side of BitterSweet. So I think that's more representative of their attempts as a team in his KD rather than his actual performance. But we see FaZe, again, another offensive play here, and BitterSweet has to answer to it here soon.
Such an important play. Mox gets picked off the wall, running Attaches. Kind of waiting here, maybe needs to reset that drone armor, but he's going to vent to kind of rush through here through blue. One more player standing in his way. That's going to be Lacefield. Clayster's there for the 1v1 engagement, grabs the active camo and will fire in the 2-point play. Nice play there from Clayster, veteran play to use the active camo for rounding the corner. Granted, Mox will shut him down, but it's a worthy exchange to be granted that 2-point dunk. Yeah,
Clay right there activated the camo, got himself a dunk. He forgot that he had to reload his magazine and was not able to put some more points in the board. Lacefield!
What was that?
That was a pretty awesome FTL jump play right there with the drone. He tosses it. It's a self-pass and puts some more points on the board for his team.
Lamagod, that was absolutely beautiful, my friend. Tosses the drone down, rocks the FTL jump, and is able to get the play in. I'm not sure you're going to see a better FTL jump play than that, and when it comes down to uplink. Either way, that is going to be a 1-point disadvantage for the side of BitterSweet. Spacely, major player to be looking at to try and grab the drone here shortly, but he's going to have to do the kills in some cases. The reason I say that is because he has the overdrive, but Clayster might have actually escaped for the time being. He's quickly found out. Now Lacefield has the drone in his hands, tosses that one over to Spacely. FTL jump gets rocked, and here comes the overdrive. Potential beatdown, shuts him down, and actually he's going to try to go on the crossover in some cases. Wants the 2-point dunk, and he's going to grab it.
There it is.
With 25 seconds left, BitterSweet have officially taken the lead.
full streaks onto Spacely here. I mentioned his clutch factor, but it was mostly in search and destroy. We're seeing our G Fuel key player right here in action in the final 30 seconds of this game, fully streaked out. He has his team leading by 1 point and is trying to cover middle map and score streaks to stop Clayster. It ends up working. Mox finishes the kill. Enable's still alive though.
That's
but
it.
Lacefield and Mox are making plays. That's the end of the uplink. BitterSweet takes yet another map from FaZe Clan.
BitterSweet steal this map number 3 from FaZe as they're going to win this one 9 points to 8. Incredible plays there at the end. I got to highlight Lamagod's FTL jump. I mean, that was absolutely incredible. I feel like we're going to see that a few more times, maybe even on the Reddit as well.
I was about to say something about Lacefield's play, and then I saw that from Lamagod. Awesome FTL jump out of him.
Man.
And we saw a superstar performance out of Spacely in that uplink right there. That's our G Fuel key player, and he came through in a big way for his team.
Absolutely. That's some much new momentum from the BitterSweet team. And now it's FaZe kind of saying, we should have won that. Like, we were in a position.
Right.
Like, we were, like, I think there was like a minute and 30 seconds left, and they're up a good 3 or 4 points, and they're not able to close it out. So kind of unfortunate there from them. Of course, as you guys can see, our current map lineup for right now, FaZe taking that first game by only 1 point. I think we got to bring that up. The only map that they have on the board was by 1 point. BitterSweet easily could have closed this one out, and not easily, but they could have closed this one out in a 3-0 had things gone their way.
Yeah, I don't think easy and against a FaZe and Hardpoint should be in the same sentence. I'm glad you covered that up. But that was a very tough Hardpoint for FaZe to win. BitterSweet made it difficult, and they're making it even more difficult as FaZe Clan finds itself at a 1-2 deficit. This is a team that typically performs very well in the groups phase, and they're losing to a team that just came through relegation. This is not what we would expect from this roster.
Not at all, and I'm honestly a little bit surprised in some cases to see how obviously the FaZe lineup is playing at this current time. But of course, things can change when it comes to retaliation, hardpoint. I'm going to kind of focus our attention over toward that. A lot of long-range gunfights. We talk about how really no lead is safe when it comes to retaliation if you hold the right hill. When it comes down to graveyard or even destroyed building as well. I mean, turbine we talk about on Scorch as well. There's kind of 2 turbines in some cases when it comes down to retaliation.
Yeah,
when you do look at it. So we'll obviously see how that one plays out. I want to get your early thoughts though when it comes to retaliation hardpoint. Who you kind of favoring? Do you think BitterSweet closes it out, or do you think FaZe forces the game 5? Because at this point, I'm not going to lie, I'm really not sure how to call this.
I think that I'm in FaZe's corner for this hard point here. I do feel that they can take this one and force the game 5. I think the game 5 outcome will depend on game 4, like specifically in terms of the fashion of their win, because we saw game 1, it was a very difficult hard point win for them, 250 to 249. If they can come through here and either Clayster or Zuma can just step up in a huge way and just smash BitterSweet, then that's going to really set the tone for game 5 once we get into there, and I just don't know if BitterSweet can bounce back from it.
Yeah, I'm also expecting to see a big performance from Mox when it comes into retaliation. I feel like the first few maps that we've seen from him when it comes into the respawns, of course, kind of close quarter engagements. We talk about Scorch, and we talk about Frost as well. The E-Rads kind of reign true, and K-Bars as well at times.
Right.
So I feel like this is a map where he can finally kind of break out and play the way that he wants to with it in V4. So I'm fully expecting to see him have pretty big performances. But Lacefield didn't have the best uplink. Granted, they come out with the victory, which they'll take every day of the week if they have a bad performance.
Interestingly enough,
and win the map, but still.
Yeah, interestingly enough, about retaliation hardpoint, this was the map that the Gosu crew, Mox's former roster, lost to Evil Geniuses, and that was the one actually that we got to cast. We're named this one like a 14 streak. Now, of course, this match, not exactly the same prestige of a matchup like that. It's just an interesting situation to be in, especially because they're against such a strong respawn team in the form of FaZe Clan. So I'm looking to see if they can take this one here.
Indeed. Now, as far as my predictions, I think I'm going to have to go with FaZe as well. I think they've just looked a little bit too strong when it comes down to hard points. Granted, of course, it was a 1-point victory, but it was something that I feel like they should have closed out a little bit. An easier situation. I'm not going to lie. A lot of people
I think that's a good uplink for them,
yeah.
and they couldn't take it.
And like you said as well, when it comes down to the respawns, or even teams in the past, they've kind of counted out this BitterSweet lineup. Maybe they can play. It's kind of a group that's going to come together last second and whatnot, but still, I feel like FaZe kind of was surprised by that. I think they're going to respond back when it comes down to this hard point.
Right, so we're taking a look at our box score here. Both teams scoring 2 points in the first half of uplink. BitterSweet just edging them out at the end there on the back of a play out of Spacely. But we have to highlight Lamagod, who was able to clear his base after every FaZe offensive play, and that's why he's able to boast such a high KD ratio on that map. Placed there on the opposite side, one of the stronger players for the side of FaZe. He actually only has a 0.9 KD, but he had the most scores for his team. Now, I really want to see if Lamagod can contribute something meaningful in this hard point here. Because I think in the first one we saw that it was really just all Lacefield, and then it didn't even contribute to a winning map for them.
Yeah, we'll see what Lamagod and the boys from BitterSweet can potentially try and produce, as they are currently in some cases with the opportunity to shut down FaZe Clan, which is definitely not what a lot of people would have predicted, including myself. We'll see what they can potentially try and produce as we'll load in here to Retaliation Hardpoint.
Taking a look at some of the hills on this map. They're going to go in a similar order. We will walk you through it. This right here is the Cathedral Hardpoint. This is the Graveyard Hardpoint, as most players call it. This is one of the most crucial parts of the map alongside here, Broken Building, where you'll see lots of teams mount up anywhere between 20 to 30 seconds if they can hold it properly. This one, one of the more scrappy hills for sure.
I got to point out something really quick. Mox has it as a DMR.
I'm seeing
Mox,
it.
Mox is a DMR. I think he's got a thermal on it. I'm expecting smokes to be potentially put down, but in some cases, this is a very interesting strategy, and I apologize for cutting you off. I just had to point that out because I think he's ready for World War II with this gun. I don't know.
He's preparing for it, man. He saw the announcement at E3, and he's just like, all right, might as well. I got to get the games in with it now.
Absolutely. Well, it looks like Lacefield doing some pretty great jobs up close and personal, starting off 3-0 and getting some early time for the side of BitterSweet, catching one stray player off guard. That's going to be Zuma. You're looking at Lacefield right now, currently looking through the eyes of him. Players coming from afar. Glacier's not going to do a whole lot of damage. A lot of nades and a lot of these vans, expect to see them blowing up, and looks like the side of BitterSweet's able to weather those at least for the moment.
Here comes another BitterSweet push onto the hill. They come out on top. Mox and Lamagod able to find most of the kills for them in that engagement. Actually, all of them. And FaZe spawning out towards Bike Path. That's actually going to be the next hill on this map. So expect to see both teams rotating over towards it. Mox doing it alone, though, that's not going to work out well. So he's going to spawn out back towards the original hard point. And FaZe is trying to get a setup here, but it doesn't look like a very stable one, as BitterSweet is prepared to push from all corners.
Yeah, and the side of FaZe getting some much-needed time over toward that lower street. First hardpoint didn't go the way that they expected. There's a little bit of interesting strategies coming out of the side of BitterSweet, but Zuma trying to make some presence be felt. Lamagod's able to stay alive for the time, but it looks like Attach is going to win that ending gunfight, finally getting some teammate support as FaZe look to try and bring this one back.
One on platform, one in the bedroom. The team fight on the platform player is big for them. That's a massive power position because of the height advantage and the cover from that cube. Now the player in bedroom is really the main one giving them trouble because that pretty much guarantees, unless a FaZe player flanks him, that BitterSweet is going to spawn at the top of this staircase rather than farther away. FaZe is trying to answer to it here, Landon, and Lacefield seems to be playing a little slow behind this Scarab.
And like I said, in previous, you probably see Lacefield try and rush this one out, maybe even alone at times. But that just goes to show the player development of him so far throughout Infinite Warfare. Just getting a little bit close there to Attach with the Scarab, just obviously realizing, showing some presence as well. But still, like I said, Lacefield playing a little bit more passively, and I think that definitely goes to show that his development as a player has definitely kind of improved. And I think that's the reason why he's definitely made BitterSweet a massive contender when it comes down to this series.
Oh yeah, you definitely got to look for Lacefield on any team he joins. He's someone that you should expect to come through in big ways. Mox actually described him as a hard carry at times for the team, so he's someone I'll always have my eyes on in a series. Now, getting into the Cathedral Hardpoint, this is the Graveyard. Enable sitting pretty with an NV4, but he's not going to be pretty for long as he's about to be outnumbered by BitterSweet players. The rest of FaZe spawning up so far away. It's such a long journey to run through that bridge.
It really is, and BitterSweet getting some much-needed seconds that could actually even take the lead right now, and FaZe just wanting to make a push. Mox shuts down Clayster, and Enable's already starting to flee and maybe even try to get the rotation over toward Broken Building, which is definitely a good decision. Attach ends up dropping, so the scrap points will be awarded toward the side of BitterSweet. Rotation will come in, and well, granted, they do get a lot of time on Cathedral. This is definitely a hard point that you want to rotate early towards, and FaZe definitely making the smart strategy to do so.
All right, the closing moments of the first Money Hill. We now move to the second one, which is Broken Building here. You see FaZe has one player just on the outside below them. He's going to be the one watching the flank, but he's also the first to die. Zuma and Attach answer back with kills, but the flank is already coming in. Enable, the hill player, goes down. So now, BitterSweet is putting some more points on the board. Attach coming through from that same spot that they actually lost the first engagement at, and they're hoping to work this hill from behind.
There's a great play there from Space that actually try to play a little bit passively in some cases, and I think a lot of the experiences that they've taken from previous rosters, basically kind of coming from being more of a support/objective player in some ways, kind of uses that strategy to break through the hill and even get some time for a squad. A lot of these guys, well, they haven't played together really before. You can see that they're taking a lot of previous experiences that they've learned with other rosters and definitely kind of bringing them together. Lamagod
looking to make a push on the front of Broken. I don't think that's going to work out against the FaZe defense here on the hill. 2 versus 3 situation, you're just walking right into ADS, K-bars, and NV4s. That's not going to happen. So we're going to see him spawn out back towards Cathedral, and they're all going to be moving towards middle map for this hotel hallway hill. Most of these kills going in favor of BitterSweet, though, is going to give them enough time to get a setup and prepare for FaZe to push. Clayster trying to put a little bit of a buffer on what his team is going to have to deal with when they get there, but he's traded out instantly, and now they're just working at a disadvantage again.
Yeah, lead change now going over toward BitterSweet. Money Hill's now transferring over to a pretty scrappy one, as it looks like BitterSweet doing a great job at not actually making this a scrap hill at all, actually locking down a lot of the early time, and FaZe has not had a response as of yet, not really having a full team push to work with because all of them keep getting cut off. Clayster's down, and now Enable is struggling to try and stay alive as he drops. A lot of time being awarded to BitterSweet and making this one look like it's a Money Hill, really.
Mox looking for the close range engagement with the NV4. Doesn't exactly have to find it till just now. He takes down Clayster off that chest high cover, and FaZe is spawning out, and I think they're just going to set up for Bridge Hill. I think that this hill is pretty much a done deal. Otherwise, they're going to feed streaks onto the hardline player of Mox.
Look at Lacefield actually coming on a flank. We'll see if FaZe is actually going to predict this one. Zuma ends up picking off one. Lacefield is trying to be a little bit of a nuisance, trying to catch the FaZe players off guard. Actually, he's able to spot and attach. Can he win the gunfight? Nate will come in, so the trade will happen. But regardless, nice play there coming in from the side of BitterSweet, as well as Lacefield in quotations there, as they continue to lock down Time Fox. This is looking pretty well for the side of BitterSweet at the moment.
Yeah, they're looking strong. It seems like they're playing pretty well coordinated. I thought the coordination of FaZe and the uplink would be single-handedly what won them the map, but it looks like BitterSweet is able to go toe-to-toe with just that. FaZe and BitterSweet both just brute forcing their way onto this hill as all four players of each team spawn on the opposite sides, and the kills are going in favor of FaZe though. Gun on gun, it's pretty difficult to match up against FaZe.
Indeed it is, but they seem to be doing a pretty good job of it at least for now. 19-12 for Lamagod, 13-9 for Mox, definitely performing a little bit better compared to that first hard point. Like I said, MV4s definitely more preferred when it comes down to retaliation over a map like Scorch. But of course, rotation will end here over toward Bridge, and now we're obviously left to go ahead and focus over toward Bike Path or Lower Street. Clayster's going to be here early for some of that time, but doesn't have a whole lot of team support to work with. A lot of players just toward his right to be entering in. Nice head glitch there from Clayster to kind of rock that one forward. Looks like a few players caught off guard here over toward that catwalk side, but can they try to make a push together is the question. As Lamagod finds two, he's also going to get some time in the hill, and if he can win that, that's going to pay big toward his overall streaks. He has the FTL jump. We saw what he can do with that in the uplink, as he's absolutely lit off right now, and he's actually going to destroy the Scarab as it actually kills both Zuma and Clayster, so a double kill coming from that. That's going to delay the push even more. BitterSweet, a lot of positives coming from them right now.
Yeah, playing inside of each other's pockets is dangerous when you have explosives coming out, especially when Lamagod's going to shoot it out of your hands. So, dangerous play right there, but FaZe bounces right back, and they're able to take them down, get some of this scrap time, and they're set up for Cathedral just a little bit. Now, we look at BitterSweet. All four players coming from Broken. They're sending 3 down the bridge and 1 on a pretty hard flank through the old hardpoint. I don't know how beneficial this is going to be if Lacefield loses this gunfight. It's just going to set them behind even further.
It looks like that is going to be the case. While Spacely and Mox both combined for a few kills. Had Lacefield maybe even been there, that could have been a push that could have happened, or actually could have happened a little bit earlier, but regardless of that, Mox will find another, and just like that, it looks like the side of BitterSweet has broken inside of Cathedral.
They lost the fights on the hard point, even though Lacefield's flank failed, so it ended up working out in favor of BitterSweet anyway. But FaZe still fighting right back. 3 players surrounding it. And BitterSweet just continues to flood in from the bridge. Nothing too crazy going on in terms of flanks, just gun-on-gun engagements here, Landon.
Clayster isn't able to find that one. Big win there from Spacely in some ways. And Clayster maybe been able to stay alive. That could have been a push that FaZe could have made to try and gain some more seconds, but continuous aerial kills coming in there from the side of BitterSweet as they're going to lock down the remaining time in Cathedral. And just like last time, BitterSweet with the lead, rotation from FaZe being made over toward Broken Building, but BitterSweet's going to be there as well. They've actually beat them on the rotation, and player number 8 is in the back. That's going to be Mox. If he can hold this angle, he can try to catch the FaZe players off guard, but he's quickly found as trades will continue to happen. FaZe, this one isn't guaranteed to go in their favor for very long.
Yeah, right there. BitterSweet beat them on the rotation, but FaZe beat them on the gun engagements. Now it's their time to hold the hard point, but with 2 players coming from Bridge and the rest of BitterSweet actually pushing in from Bike Path, they're outnumbered, and those players are too slow and too late. Score streaks coming in, they don't even need them. They find a kill on the Clayster to find themselves some more time, but the FaZe players have spawned out too far to do anything about it anyway.
And FaZe left in this position where they've got to get moved forward very, very quick. BitterSweet getting a lot of easy and uncontested times, basically having no issue, just kind of hopping in the hard point, not having a whole lot of issues. You trying to enter in, and basically will drop. Finally, FaZe is able to break in, but only a few more seconds needed actually for the side of BitterSweet. Around just a little more than 25 points left for them to close out this map. They'll grab the scrap points, but we're making their way to Hotel Hallway, and FaZe is just hoping this isn't the last hill of the game.
30 seconds, 35 seconds, excuse me, separate BitterSweet from closing out this map and winning the series. We're getting into the last hill of this rotation before we begin the next. There is enough time for BitterSweet to win here, but it's not going to be easy, and FaZe is not going to let up on the gas. They want to try and force this comeback. They want to bring it to bridge and win those long-range engagements they've been so good at. Mox, though, playing in close proximity to the hill, he has access to the active camo and should be able to push in here. One player just around the corner, he's able to catch him without being spotted. Hardline bonus coming in. Those score streaks could be big if they don't end here. No one can kill Mox just yet as he's still alive from that previous play.
And Mox, knowing the basically positioning of these FaZe players, ends up getting dropped, and just like that, not a whole lot of time being awarded toward either team. Hill currently going to go uncontested, but it looks like one of the FaZe players is going to be there. Laceville not wanting to give away any excess time, shuts down Clayster, attaches back, is there in the back, and decides to enter into the hill. Both of these hard points coming down toward the end. Will it be FaZe who can walk away with another victory and force the game 5, or will we see BitterSweet close out this series? That is the question, and they are getting some time right now inside of Middle Bridge. The question is, can FaZe enter in? Zuma rocks the reactive armor. Can he shut down Laceville? Is the question. No, he will drop, and only a few more seconds needed before BitterSweet will close this one out. An upset alert is for sure potentially in our midst. Only 4 more seconds needed here, Fox.
4 more seconds. Spacely knows that the entirety of FaZe Clan is just around the corner. He can't peek this. He needs to wait for support. Enable finds the first long-range engagement, connects with a second, attaches there to help. 30 seconds on the clock. We saw last time FaZe was able to do this and close out the map by 1 second. Can they repeat it? BitterSweet is just 4 seconds from winning, though. This is going to be a tough one.
This is going to be tough, and it's hard to give away a lot of free time in that middle hard point, especially when you need to make the rotation. But FaZe can't win off this hill. They have to rotate effectively, but Zuma comes from the side, and this is going to be them getting the last few seconds over toward bridge. Let's keep in mind the rotation that's coming in. FaZe is actually going to be here on the rotation, it seems like, and they're going to be zoning them at range, and Able doing a great job from that from that bedroom building as they're entering. Only a few more seconds needed, and can they escape with it? Yes! BitterSweet will be there despite the nice zoning coming in from Enable. BitterSweet players are able to sneak inside of the hill and grab the last few seconds. They only needed a few, but Mox shuts them down from above as BitterSweet will complete the upset, taking out FaZe Clan.
The pressure was on right there. That last hill was all guns. The payloads and score streaks had been used on bridge, and FaZe just couldn't hold strong despite Enable being in a great position in bedroom. BitterSweet is able to close out the hard point, and they almost took 2 hard points from FaZe in this series, Landon. They were 1 second from doing it. They were 1 second from doing it.
They basically won. They nearly won this entire series 4-0, and that's massively impressive.
This is a team fresh from CWL relegation, taking down one of the best rosters we have to offer here for the North American Call of Duty World League.
COD fans, you wanted upsets? This is an upset right here, for sure. FaZe Clan nearly, let's go and recap the maps actually really quick. I can't even contain myself right now, to be honest. FaZe Clan nearly taking that first hard point, actually by 1 second to be in fact. Crusher Search and Destroy for map number 2. BitterSweet won that one 6-3. Frost Uplink very close as well, so some highlight plays actually from Llama God as they won that one by 1 point as well. And of course, what we just witnessed, the retaliation hard point, what we thought would be FaZe Clan's opportunity to force the game 5, ends up in their demise as BitterSweet closed that one out 250 to 237.
It looked a whole lot like we were going to see FaZe take that map, I feel, but BitterSweet, they just came through in such a big way. We saw some great payload usage, I feel. They were able to keep themselves into the game. There were moments of brilliance on the side of FaZe on the bridge hardpoint, right? They were in their comfort zone at those mid to long range engagements, but BitterSweet was able to just ultimately win more of the more impactful ones and take the map. So that's a series win from BitterSweet that I feel like a lot of people at home did not expect here, Landon.
Oh, yeah. I definitely did not expect that, to say the least. I mean, we weren't even sure coming into Anaheim if even BitterSweet or even the team prior would even be able to be in pools just from relegation as well, the Supreme Team lineup. So, I mean, with that massive win there for the guys on
Massively
BitterSweet. Massively massive win for those guys on BitterSweet. But
right.
I think when we kind of do talk about that last retaliation hardpoint, we got to focus a lot toward the destroyed building. I mean, they did a great job, Spacey, kind of lingering toward the back. I got to say, Spacey to me was probably an MVP of that for locking down quite a bit of time, kind of being in the back quite a bit as well. So I think destroyed building is where I think the side of BitterSweet got so much time on it, the side of FaZe just couldn't do it again.
Can't ignore Space's in-game contributions, as you said. You also got to talk about his leadership throughout that entire series. It's definitely something in their practice that's leading into their success here. So let's go ahead and take a look at the box score here. You can see on that first hill, both teams breaking very even, and on street was where FaZe actually edged them out quite a bit, and then BitterSweet biting right back on Grave.
You have to see Mox's performance as well as Enable's. You can kind of see like the most kills as well as the best KD as far as BitterSweet is considered. Mox 1.56 KD. I kind of talked about it as well. This is the map where he can finally start to turn up. And that's exactly what he did. He provided probably great communication throughout those first maps where he can't really do the slang. That's where Lacefield started to take over. When it comes down to it, this guy Mox, he's a special guy, man. I mean, he is absolutely incredible when you give him a map, when you give him the MV4 in his hands.
Right.
He can definitely start to light things up.
Yeah, and this is a total 180 from what we saw the last time Mox played on LAN on this map, on stream at least here on Bravo. Complete 180 of a performance, and he's able to upset one of the biggest teams here in North America. So not entirely sure of what this means for FaZe, who has a player of Zuma coming in here off of that injury and surgery, but this is definitely a big moment for any fans of the players on the BitterSweet roster. Guys, I'm Fox. This is Landon. We're going to cut to a commercial break, and we'll see you again soon.